Hey guys, my name is Jrud. This video series is about chronicling a new video game that I'm trying to write. It's going to be an MMO RTS, which is hopefully a new genre of real-time strategy games that are meant for more than just 16 people. So you're going to actually see me writing code in this series. I'm going to be making 3D objects from scratch and troubleshooting and fixing bugs, which is, more than complicated. Uh, I've been developing for 12 years, not including college. I'm a full-time lead software engineer at a multinational corporation right now. My primary skill set is C Sharp and VB.NET. I've got lots of web experience with HTML, JavaScript, jQuery, and for this project, I've been learning on a web framework called 3.js, which is a JavaScript framework that lets you render 3D objects right in the web browser. It's pretty cool tech, but after messing with it for quite a while, I don't know if it's going to be the end solution that I'm going to end up using in the final version of the game. But for right now, it's pretty cool because you don't need to download a game client to actually run the game. It loads all the assets into your browser and then immediately works through a WebSocket to the web server. Pretty cool tech, but I'll be getting into that a little bit later. So, like I said, in this series, I'm going to be actually writing the code and fixing bugs, and I want this to be a little bit of a tutorial for those of you that are interested in actual coding. Maybe you're a beginner or a novice at troubleshooting and coding. And one of the things that took me a long time personally, and I see a lot of other new developers struggling with this, is just kind of wrapping your thoughts logically around a bug and then trying to locate where exactly that bug might be. And I had a lot of trouble in the beginning with, I'd get a weird bug and I wouldn't understand it. I'd just start checking everywhere and I wouldn't, know where to look. But if you think logically about it for just a few seconds, you can kind of quickly pinpoint, all right, it has to be this or that or this. It can only be one of these three things, and there's no other way around it other than one of those three problems. And then you start kind of narrowing them down, and I'll show you some of those things later in further videos. This one, I don't think the bug that I picked for today will be too complicated, but that's also because I'm doing a lot of intro today. So a little bit more about me. I've got lots of experience in development, and then I've got other 3D hobbies that are kind of technical. So I do 3D printing. There's my 3D printer back there. I've got an eBay and Amazon store that I sell lots of products on. So I do a lot of product photography myself and such with a big DSLR, and I love taking nature photos and such as well. Uh, I am big into home automation, so I'll install my home automation equipment, smart lights, and I have one of those cool robotic lawnmowers. I maintain the rest of my house. I've been living here for 12 years, so my place. And then I also keep fish, which you'll see my fish hopefully at some point too. Probably not in this video, but who knows. And then I think that's enough about me. So let's get into the actual game itself. So the game itself is going to be an MMORTS. Like I said, it's going to hopefully and be a normal RTS game like your StarCraft and your, I don't know, Black and White from back in the day is what I always attribute to, because I loved that game when I was a teenager, and I always try to model some of the features and such in this game after it. So there's some interesting stuff that you'll see recurring a little bit like Black and White, but not too much to make it anything like it. So yeah, MMORTS. So it's going to be the RTS game, but typically in those other RTS games, you're going to see a maximum of about 16 people on the battlefield at once, and that's just because those games are very memory intensive and a lot of communication back and forth between the server, and the server can really only handle so much in processing the game. So the strategy here is going to be having one server that kind of controls which servers control which area of the battlefield, and then there will be multiple servers that control different areas of the battlefield, and then your client will actually connect to all those servers at once, and all of them will actually move the units around and have them shoot between the servers and, all kinds of stuff. So hopefully we'll be able to get, 100, 200 people on a battlefield at once, all building and constructing and creating units and sending them after each other. So hopefully we'll get some chaos. Sorry, I've got some gnats in here. Okay, so the plot of the game, I'm not a big guy on lore, but I figured I had to come up with something. So this is the plot that I've got so far. So we're going to make a space game. It's maybe 100 years beyond where we are right now, where humans have developed a slow warp drive to go faster than the distance between planets is expanding, which is our current trouble right now. So we've breached that barrier, but our warp drive is still slow enough to the point where it's going to take, multiple generations for that ship to make it between Earth and the destination planets. So on the way between Earth and those destination planets, these ships that are on their way there are fighting amongst each other through audio and visual communications. They don't have any weapons on their ships, but they're constantly battling it out. Audio, just they hate each other by the time they get to these planets because they're all fighting over who's going to have the limited resources on these planets to themselves. So by the time they reach to the planet, they're all fuming each other. They all hate each other. There's some pre-existing alliances formed. There's some pre-existing hatreds formed. So that's the kind of the plot of why everything's going on. When they land on the planets, our current technology right now, our best idea is that we will use the natural resources on the planet to create kind of a concrete, and then we're going to use these giant 3D printing arms that will, start 3D printing buildings in the new planet, basically. So that's our plan for going to Mars right now, is they're going to take these big prototype 3D printing arms there and 3D print buildings for the habitants. There's actually videos on YouTube right now of the prototypes, because they had some fairs and competitions and stuff of actually making these things. So they are real. Even though they're not public yet, they are real and they do exist, and they can 3D print, some moderate sized buildings and stuff nowadays. So pretty cool stuff. So that's what we're going to be using to actually construct the games, or construct the buildings in our game. And I think that's a really cool thing thematically. So other things in this game that I'm really interested in are going to be infinitely scaling things, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But I love it when things in games don't kind of limit you in some way that, I wish I could take this farther. I wish, like, this is pretty OP, but I wish this could just go a little bit farther until it got ridiculous. I love that kind of stuff, and the scope of these big battles between all these people is probably going to last, an hour to 2 hours or so. So the hopes would be everything kind of scales up like crazy until it gets to this crazy point where this guy's got a billion units and this guy's got one unit that's like infinitely powerful, and maybe this guy's got 4 units that are moderately powerful, and they all meet in the middle and go crazy on each other. And it's a battle between numbers and skill and I don't know. It's just, I can't wait for the chaos to happen, but we've got a lot of work to do before we get there. So the back end of this application is going to be C#. That's what I'm writing the server software in, and the server software in that's going to tell where the other servers are. And then the front end is going to be a C# web forms project. I could have done MVC because I know MVC, but I just kind of like the web forms better because I'm really not really doing much in the back end except relying on session variables and the user being logged in. Other than that, most everything is just going to be serving up files and then communicating through the WebSockets. So it really didn't matter which backend I'm going to be using because I'm not really going to be writing a whole lot of code in it either way. So it's going to be HTML, JavaScript, and jQuery, and then the library 3.js to actually render the graphics in the browser. So I've developed a bit of the game so far, not a whole lot. So what we've got so far are just a few units walking around, and you're able to build a storage facility and a factory farm, and that's really about it. The models aren't that great. They're moderately animated, and yeah, there's a lot of glitches too, which I'm sure you'll see when I demo it in a minute here. So without further ado, let's go into the actual code and game. So I'll start in with how these videos are going to be laid out. So we've got this code view, which is what you're looking at right now. So we've got um, WebRTS, which is the front end, and then there's the WebRTS server, which is the back end. So I'll go ahead and give the server a start, and that'll put us into test mode. And then I'll give the client side a start. Started on the weird monitor. Okay, there we go. All right. So now we're in test view. So when you first pop in here, it's going to, the server code is going to first say connection watcher started. So that means it's just waiting for clients to connect. And then this says that it got a connection from my web browser. So the socket client on the web browser connected to the server, and now they have two-way communication going. And then it received a message of L pipe 0. I like to use my pipes for delimiters. So L means login, and 0 means that I am user 0, which I just kind of have it defaulting to if you're in debug mode. Okay, so the first thing it asks you is where you want to drop. When it first loads in, it realizes after a few seconds that if the server doesn't tell you you have any units, that you don't have any units. So you need to initiate drop mode, so you need to drop your first colonist. And the battlefield I've got is really wide and really long, so I expected to have a huge battlefield, but when I tested it at different locations, 3.js couldn't handle one huge plane. It like gets really glitchy for some reason, so I'm gonna have to, I guess, cut it up and make much smaller planes on a grid or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out though. So for right now, I'm just putting everything at 0, 0. So we're dropping the first colonists there. So it first gives you 3 colonists. So we're going to build a storage facility, and we're going to build a factory farm. And so these buildings start with 0 construction progress. And they require filament to make. Filament, if you don't know, is the standard material for 3D printers, like the one behind me. So, but of course, this filament's more like concrete, so their giant 3D printing arms can print with it. But these colonists get dropped down first with a bunch of filament to start their first few buildings. So they start with 1,500 filament, and they start with 50 food as well. So I'm sending these guys to start building here. So yeah, these resource piles actually contain the resources you're dropped with. Eventually, you want to get all these resource piles into a building, especially the food, because the food will decay faster just sitting out like this. I don't have the logic in for that yet, but when it's sitting out, or if it's in a building that doesn't have refrigeration, like the storage building or storage facility, then it's going to decay a little bit faster. So these guys are building, that guy's building, very good. So the storage building is actually going to have, it's going to be your main storage building. So you're going to collect all your resources here if possible. And it's going to distribute these resources through drones. It's not going to be like most MMORTSs where everything just kind of goes into a global pile of inventory, basically. You actually have to get that inventory to whatever thing needs it, and then it can be consumed wherever it needs to be consumed at. So in the case of a building, you actually have to take the filament to the building in progress and build on it, which is a mechanic that I can't say I haven't seen it before, because I took that mechanic off of an old game called Black and White. But it's not a very common mechanic, I'll say that. Okay, so these guys, yeah, they're done building that building. So Make him go over there. Is he done? Yeah, he's done. And he'll be over there. Okay. So I'll produce a drone here. So the drone's job is to go and pick up resources um, and then bring them back. And then its other job is going to be to bring colonists food. Oops, he's getting away. And pick up resources from resource generation buildings. Basically, the drone's job is going to be to deliver resources around. Um, of course, the colonists will be able to hold resources, but the main worker that's going to be moving all the resources around is going to be the drone. So he just went and picked up some food and he delivered it back to the storage facility. But as soon as he realized that he had food in the storage facility, he noticed that there are 3 workers out here that don't have any food. So he's got some food right now and he's going to go deliver it to one of the workers. So he took it to that one, which for some reason has, oh, he has 32 filament instead of food. So he's not going to be able to get any food. That sucks. Interesting. another glitch to fix. Okay, so anyway, the drones are going to be delivering stuff. So the other interesting stuff we've got going on right now is that the workers every 5 minutes will eat a little bit of food. They'll eat 1 unit of food. I'll go ahead and have these 2 pick up food so you can see what happens here. Yeah, so they each got 32 food, and well, he got 14 food because that was all that was left in the pile. And there's a glitch where the piles stay after, so I have to fix that eventually too. Um, so these guys, after 5 minutes of existing, will eat 1 unit of food. Um, if there's no food in their inventory to eat, then it's going to reduce their health by 33. So if they go 10 minutes without any food in their inventory, they're going to die. There's no death yet, unfortunately. Their health just goes negative and keeps going negative, but I'll fix that eventually too. The ones that do eat food, though, will regen health if they had any health missing, and also they will get one more permanent maximum health. So this guy will have 51 health, um, which is kind of cool, and that's an infinite stat. So eventually, this guy could have millions of health if the game went on that long. But these games are only meant to last a couple hours, so he won't get that much health. But I mean, in theory, let's produce an extra drone here. So the other things going on here is the more that these guys walk, and I don't know why I can't make them walk yet. The more these guys walk, the faster they actually get. Um, I took a scale from when they first start. It's about normal human walking speed. And then when they reach the top of the scale, it actually makes them run as fast as Usain Bolt. So it would take many, many hours of them just constantly walking to reach that speed. So they'll probably never reach that speed, to be honest. But it is pretty interesting that it goes all the way up on that scale. Um, Also, there is an encumberment level. So this guy actually moves a little bit faster than this guy, as you can see. And that's because this guy is moderately encumbered by his 32 pounds of food and his gun that he's holding. There's also a heavy encumberment level, which means they're right at the maximum they can carry. Regular encumberment is a 40% move speed reduction, and heavy encumberment is a 60% move speed reduction. So also very cool. And then the more that they walk around being encumbered, the more it increases the maximum carry capacity. So right now, just by walking around being encumbered, he's actually increasing the amount of weight that he can carry. And eventually, he'll no longer be encumbered and he could walk around like normal like this, which is also cool. So that's a theme that I kind of want to put into this game is, the more you use it, the better you get at it. I want to make that stat or more stats for everything possible. So probably hand-to-hand combat and using all the different weapons. Who knows what we'll get into, but I'm sure some pretty cool stuff. Oh yeah, and the more that they build, the higher it increases their build stat, so they can build faster. So just one more thing. Okay, so that's the explanation for this game. Now I'm going to go into actually fixing a couple bugs. Um, so the first things I'm going to work on are, let's see, having the drones only take food to someone who isn't already getting a food delivery. So um, if you get all of the food in here and all of these guys eat just one, and there are two drones sitting in here, two drones will go at the same time and try to feed a guy some food. And so he'll end up with six food instead of his needed amount, which is five. Um, so the first thing we're going to do is just make it so that two drones don't try to deliver food at the same time. Oh yeah, see that? He just got bumped down to 17. And these two guys, if I refresh, maybe it doesn't update their health yet. Maybe they didn't eat anything. I don't know. But he lost some health because he didn't eat. All right. So let's fix that glitch. Let's fix that glitch first. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, I think, is add a Boolean to the person class that says whether or not that guy is being delivered food or not. So public bool being delivered food equals false. So then I'll go into the drone class and find the AI where he gets delivered food. So if the storage facility has delivered food AI enabled and it's holding food, look for a nearby person who doesn't have at least 5 food on them, and he becomes the hungry person. um, so if there is a hungry person, find how much you need, the quantity needed, and then actually. Okay, so this part actually gives the drone take some food out of the storage facility and towards the unit needing food. So yeah, this actually takes the resources out. So I guess, let's see, at what point can we actually say, I think this, so hungry person dot, what did I name it? Being delivered food. Being delivered food equals true. So that'll just mark him that he's being delivered food. And to make it so that somebody already being delivered food doesn't get any more, x.held food. So we'll do and x dot being delivered food. Oh, we have to cast this to a person, I guess. Person. So if he's being delivered food, well, we actually only want to return if he's not being delivered food. So, and not being delivered food. Okay. And now we have to also set this to false somewhere. Okay, so what point do we want to set it to false? So probably as soon as it actually gives him the food. So we gotta find where it gives him the food. So order type, is deliver object. And the unit is in range, travel to where the unit is. Oh, use it. Is it in range for that? Unit's current order is deliver the object, and the unit is in range, deliver it. Okay, so this is where it gives the target, which is the colonist, give item, carried object 0, which should be the food, and then it puts in the order command. So right here, I want to say that order.target being, I guess I have to cast it to a person again. Dang it. Target being delivered food equals true. Or no, false, because we already delivered it. Alright, test it. Alright, so we've got our 3 units here, and they're going to be hungry soon, so I'm going to make a drone. And as soon as that's done, I'm going to immediately make a second drone. All right. So hopefully this one should probably immediately go and take food to somebody, and then this one will take his food immediately to somebody else. So looks like this one's going for that one. And this one's going for that one. Awesome. So that worked. Now let's make sure that it also fills both of these guys up. So hopefully this drone takes 1 to him, and then that drone will go get some and take some back, and then take 1 to him, and then this drone will take 4 to him, while that one goes and gets more, and then this one should take 1 more to him and come back. Well, actually, I guess this one will go back. So hopefully that's what goes on here. So let's just watch it. Yeah, so I took 1 to him. Perfect. He's taking 1 to him. Nice. There's 6 food in the storage facility. Okay, so he grabbed 4 more. He's taking it to that colonist. Bam. And then this one's just showing up, so he should grab 1 and take it to that colonist. Yep, he's got 1 food, and he's on his way. Nice. And he's going to go pick up some more. All right. Well, so that's what I wanted to accomplish for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to see more of me making this game better, hopefully so the units actually shoot at each other and stuff, let me know. Like it, subscribe it. Thanks.